Back in October of 2018, I was wandering around Dublin, Ireland. I had to go over.
It's a visa thing. Long story.
And I happened into a little bookshop along the River Liffey that runs through the center of the city. The shop, called the Winding Stair, had a small collection of Penguin classics. These short little books are usually a collection of short stories or articles by single authors based on a specific theme. Sort of like the pamphlets that used to be published back in the early 16th and 17th century in the heyday of the early printing press and salon culture. After reading and writing a review of Notes on Nationalism, I realized I'd never actually read anything else by Orwell. Somehow my grade in high school education did not include reading any of his work. As such, I was never forced to read Orwell by any of the Dominican priests that haunted my childhood. I never even got around to seeing the movie version with John Hurt and Richard Burton. Soon after finishing the essay in that short work and posting the review on my blog, I was approached by one of my friends and former employees regarding not only 1984, but also Animal Farm. If you're interested in the link to that review is posted in the comments below. My friend wanted my opinion as to how George Orwell, a devout socialist most of his life, could write two books harshly criticizing communism. I gave him the response I had been giving most of my more conservative friends on social media at the time. I do try and keep some of them around, if only to make sure I know what sort of shenanigans they are up to, the same reason I keep the more liberal ones around. My more conservative friends make some of their grand, sweeping, and generalized statements regarding some of the policies being put forth by some of the United States more left-leaning politicians. I usually come back with a basic truth they seem to forget, that being that socialism and communism are not the same things, even if they have some concepts in common. Even though I felt comfortable with my response in general, I realized that it didn't get to a more detailed, nuanced answer. I generally can't abide missing nuance any more than I can abide broad, sweeping generalizations spewed on social media. Hence why I still have arguments with my left and right-leaning friends and can't seem to get off of social media. So I decided to rectify the situation. I rented the movie version of 1984 the same week. And don't get me wrong, it is a great movie, and anyone seeing this review or not should watch it. But it just made me want to read the source material. Everyone surely knows the story in 1984, at least they think they do nowadays, with terms like face crime and doublespeak being thrown around the news and social media, as if we've all just come from a high school English lit course. I certainly thought I did as well. 1984 warns of the dystopian future where the state has taken control of every aspect of life. It controls what you eat, where you live, who you associate with, and even where you work. More insidious than this, however, it even tries to control facts, retrofit history, and control how you think. The protagonist, Winston Smith, has his life and love, and eventually even his free will slowly taken from him. The state takes control and breaks him, not just out of some need for control, but as control itself. Without the ability to reshape people, the state realizes it will lose control and fall back into the cycle of revolution and replacement that has plagued human society since the beginning of time. As the state strips control from your hands and from your mind and even from your heart, the world becomes a duller and less inviting place. Even the act of love itself is to be erased and replaced solely with the love of the party, with love of Big Brother who watches over all. Like most people, though, I had missed some important points by not reading the source material. There's significant nuance and detail in both the main story of the book and especially in the epilogue and notes at the end of the book. These final sections explain in more detail the development of Newspeak and the why and how of how it is used. Actually, those nuances are the most important factor of the story. The concept of doublespeak that is explained to Winston as he is continually dragged back from the abyss of non-existence during the torture by the representative of the party, O'Brien, is the most important part of Newspeak. Doublethink is a need for the party members to not just lie to each other and to themselves about the true nature of the world, but the fact that they must tell the lie and immediately forget they've told the lie. That the new lie is actually the truth, and it has always been the truth. In some cases, both the lie that is the new truth and the old truth, which may actually be a previous lie, are in existence at the same time. In other words, high-ranking party members have to hold two diametrically opposing views in mind at the same time and give them both equal validity. Not only that, but they have to do so not because the party says to or out of fear of what the party will do, but because they themselves actually want to hold these ideas. This is the true horror of the book. Not the coercive power of the state, but that at some point, the choice of every member of the party to submit to madness, to choose doublethink of their own free will. This is Orwell's main point. It is not that socialism or capitalism or Confucianism, as pointed out by the three main powers that exist in the story, it doesn't matter what sort of government you start out with, that those are bad in and of themselves. It is the individual not having the moral courage to hold on to reality. It is the individual making the choice to submit, not just to lie about it or to try and fight against it. Even Winston, at the end, lacks the moral fiber needed to hold on to his convictions to the bitter end if needed, even unto death. That is the true horror of Room 101. As O'Brien says, everyone knows what is in Room 101. For what is in the room is what you fear the most, what every individual fears the most. It's our own weaknesses, our own lack of conviction, our ability, if need be, to give up what we love, and even what we fear for what is right. Sometimes in order for the other side to lose, we need to make the ultimate sacrifice. This is the weakness Winston shows, and the weakness Orwell warns us we need to have in order to save off enslavement.